Hello and welcome back to the What Life. Once again, we're diving into a race. So much to fill you guys in on. Let's kick off with what we're doing. Apologies, we are diving back in with Flat is Fast. You know me, just a glutton for punishment when it comes to Zwift racing. So we're back in the Greater London Flat Loop. Off we go. It's a Friday 6 p.m. UK time race. There are, I think, maybe 70 riders. Wasn't quite ready for the start, so it's kind of, for me, I got a little bit caught out, but the group moves off nicely and I have to put a bit of a dig in to kind of stick with the group. I was kind of in two minds. Look, to be honest with you, I kind of didn't really want to do a race today, but I'll dive into why I did it in a second. Obviously, the Greater London Flat it's pancake flat as we kind of know, 100 meters in it. A lot of that, or some of that elevation, is actually in the lead-in rather than the actual London Flat Loop itself. 17.5k. Quick reminder, guys, this is Cat B. So Cat B with which is meant to be 3.2 to 3.99. So 3.2 to 4 watts per kg. Just to give you a heads up, I weigh 76 kg. So anytime you see me riding over like 308 watts, that's 4 watts per kg for me. 308 watts is 4 watts per kg. Is the easy way to figure it out for me. So if it's 310 and above, we're over 4 watts per kg. And this starts getting a bit more important because I'm just kind of curious, because these Cat B races are just getting out of hand. And I know a few guys might agree, but I don't know what we do about it. I don't know how it, I love Cat B. I don't mind putting in performances and coming mid-pack. That's fine with me. I'm totally cool with that because I am improving. It's an esports, it's a game. I'm emotionally invested in it from the sense that I like having a YouTube and I love talking about it. But I'm not going to go home and kind of get upset about it. Sorry guys, go home. I am home. I am literally sat at home. That's the point of this, that I don't have to go anywhere. So I'm not sat at home complaining about it. It is what it is. If guys beat me, I think part of that is because my goal is maybe to try and get kind of a cat quality. I want to put those kind of performances in. So interestingly, you guys might have seen I raced this one on Monday night and put in some strong numbers on a 170 person group. We are 73 riders in this one. The less riders, the more interesting the race. Not less, but kind of 70 is a great group. Some guys kept attacking, which made this race so much more interesting. So here's our first attack. The reason this attack was actually quite interesting is, first and foremost, it's two people off the front, which means that can they hold a group off? But secondly, the timing of it, because they attack and then you get this first little kicker. So I moved kind of with the attack and then I get hit with this kicker. So actually this became a really hard section, I imagine, for a lot of people, because normally you'd ride in, get this little riser, do the riser at a few watts. You can obviously see a few people throwing down the watts on the right, and then kind of do the ride off at the top. But because those guys made that move early, it meant that we had to kind of cover the move and then go straight into the riser, which meant, you can see everyone chucking it. I chucked my power up in there. Other people threw their power up in there. I'm well over the 4 watts per kg mark, just holding sustained hard watts. This is, and then we come up to this little cheat corner, if you will. Every time you get to this corner, guys, if you're riding it this way, spin the wheels up, spin your pedals up, put in a few watts, put a little kick in, and then you get kind of spat out the other side. It's so good. So just watch this little kick, and then you just move up, and I don't know, that is my little, I like that corner because you can kind of, it works for you. Anyway, so Cat B is meant to be this kind of 3.2 to just under 4 watts per kg. Let's call it 4 watts per kg. I am now getting to the point where I'm kind of borderline-ish, getting close to 4 watts per kg. And I hold 4 watts per kg for 20 minutes. This is a 23.5 minute race. So, we're basically there. or with there or thereabouts for a 20-minute race, guys. Like, I'm not talking like FTP 4 watts per kg hour kind of stuff. So I don't know. Interestingly, is that a thing though? Like when it says 3.2 to 4 watts per kg, would that be effectively for a 60-minute thing? Because I don't think I'd be holding maybe 3.7 for 60 minutes or 3.8 if it was a good day. Definitely not kind of, yeah. So I don't know what people's thoughts are on that, but I find it quite interesting that, you can put in these numbers and ride this hard and still kind of, it's brutal out there, brutal. So let me, whilst we've dived into a few numbers, let me give you some stats for the race itself. I hold 300 watts, guys, so I'm 8 watts off holding 4 watts per kg. So that's 3.9 watts for the race. It's 17k, so it's not the longest race. It's pretty flat. It's interestingly though, like I put out more watts on this Friday event than I did on the Monday event. So hold a higher wattage. I feel like my not fitness, but I feel like my strength is coming back. I'll also say that one of the things I talk about, or I spoke about in a couple of my recent YouTube videos about training, in terms of like the comeback, the running one, and then full gas, the cycling one, was I take you guys through my training plan. I don't really want to call it a plan because I want to call it like a modus operandi, basically like a training philosophy, because I'm more than happy to like switch things around, not do things, do a bit more. So this was my point, is that I didn't quite want to do this race, but because people, and I love having conversations about training, but a bunch of people were basically just saying that I'm training too much, I'm like overtraining, and it kind of gets in my head quite a lot. And one of the things I'm kind of worried about is, am I doing too much? And is my performance suffering because I'm doing too much? Which kind of got me to this, like, this is why I wanted to dive into a kind of race on a Friday. Excuse me, 1 second. This is why I wanted to dive into a race on a Friday. I was hoping it would be an easier race because I just wanted to kind of see how my body was responding to all the training. And I haven't had any time off. So it's like a lot of running and a lot of cycling. And I've been building the volume on it, and I've been scattering around the intensity. But yet I've still come out this evening and put this effort in. So from my perspective, and this isn't a perfect effort. Like my heart rate only gets to 167. So I'm like 8 or 9 beats off what I would normally consider like a healthy, well-rested body heart rate. So, and this race kind of really did take it out of me. But the way that kind of my body is responding, I definitely need to take a few days off next week. This will at the end of this week. So we're Friday now, Saturday, Sunday. Finish off that week. That'll be my 3 weeks of basically loading, if you will, kind of getting back into it, doing a bit of running and cycling at the same time. And then next week, hopefully, like I'm going to drop as much intensity out of it as possible, kind of keep things as chill, probably drop a bit of the volume and try and get that recovery in so that my aerobic system, my central nervous system can all recover, so that when I come back to doing a hard effort like this, my heart rate gets back into the 170s, because I am missing that. So I don't know who was pulling these trains, but again, guys, look at my wattage. It's like, it's up in the 300s. Like it's this, I don't know who is pulling these, but these races are kind of getting a bit out of hand. And these flat races are a bit different, because normally, I guess, like if it was hilly, you do the climb, you do the runoff from the climb, and then you kind of have a little recovery session. These flat races, there was only a few instances where we were recovering. So, like I said, I held 300 watts, normalized to to over 4 watts per kg for the 23 minutes. Couple of shout out to a couple of the riders who we were riding with. Scott, who I remember racing on Monday night. And I think he took home a silver on Monday night, and he takes home the win this evening. So that's an interesting one. Like, good to kind of pick up 2 races in a week. And again, his numbers are these, 369 watts for the 23 minutes it took us to do this race. So, I mean, he's a slightly bigger rider than I am, but like, these, I don't know, I'd be interesting to find out. Scott, let us know in the comments if you watch this, kind of like, how do you fare when it's like a punchy course with a few hills? Like, is this course designed for you as a cyclist and your style of cycling? Like, how have you found this flat is fast kind of month of racing? Has it been like a bit more to your kind of riding style and ability? Because I can't wait for these flat races to finish. I cannot wait to do these. I think it's the UCI champion, like they're doing a few championship race like a champion routes next month in Feb, or this month. So I cannot wait for that to start, because I want a few punchy hills. I want a few more selections. I want a few more opportunities. So I'm interested. Scott, let us know if like this is a race that or this month has been a good month for you, or whether you are happy to kind of race whatever the terrain, or kind of did it tailor itself to you. So I feel like from my perspective, the training and the adaptation is getting there. Interestingly, I definitely don't want to turn a blind eye to not putting, my heart rate not kind of getting where it should be, because I think that definitely needs attention. I'd never tell someone to like ignore that. So, taking a week next week where, maybe I just have like a few days where I do little to nothing. And considering the last 3 weeks, I haven't had a day off. I've always ran or I've always cycled, at least ran or cycled. And most days I've done both. So, and this isn't a brag, guys. I'm not bragging. I am just like going through the motions of like what I'm trying to put myself through at the moment in terms to improve, because I do want to make that next step. And silly, like foolishly, I've kind of trying to combine a bit of running and a bit of cycling at the same time. So I have made it a little bit harder for myself, but I am still really enjoying it. But I am also finding that I can just about at the moment, like I am kind of responding to it in this way. So from a race perspective, this is when things got kind of a bit like crazy, obviously coming out and up. I don't know what this, I guess this is down it, coming out from underneath the tunnel. Guys throw the watts in. I'll be honest with you, I was kind of struggling to stay with the group a lot of the time. And then I was very surprised to kind of still be in the mix once we got down the end of this. Like, I definitely looked at the distance left on the route and said to myself, oh, like 3K, like I'm not sure whether I'm going to hold this group to the finish. So I was kind of like a little bit surprised that I'm kind of still in the mix coming down this section. So held on to the tunnel, held on out of the tunnel quite well, or I felt like, and then the guys come through. This is me trying to like recover as much as possible, because obviously that you've basically got a few turns and then it's just hammer time to the finish. We have just over a mile to go. Once again, guys, we're well over 4 watts per kg here. It has been hard, and this is partly why I like these races. It's partly why I always gravitate towards doing these Z Racing monthlies, because they are just like, I feel like they're just the harder races, like in terms of you sign up to a race, they're going to go hard. Someone's always up front pushing it, or even as a collective, just people are just like moving the race forward. As you can see here, because like you get the inverted group where like the front, 8 or so riders get overtaken by like a back 8 or so riders, because they're like, okay, we're going to go. They kind of lift off a little bit, and then the group behind just kind of come through. So those little inversions in a group are always really interesting, because for me it kind of says that the guys that have been leading it are like, right, we've had enough, like let's just they start slowing it down, and the guys come from behind and just keep the intensity on. So we're not too far from basically the last kick, and again, like I said, I was just genuinely a little bit surprised that I'm still kind of in the mix and in the position that I'm in. And then I was like wondering whether I was going to have any legs left. I haven't had any legs for a finish at all this whole series. Guys, I apologize for the noise that I make whilst doing this sprint, but like, look at me go. So I actually decided to fire in a sprint. I'm super late on the power up. I didn't realize that it was going to last for that long, but I do eventually hit it. I commit to it for a little bit. I try and give it everything I have. I'm like head down, probably touch 760-ish watts was probably my high point. It's short and sweet, guys, but I didn't have much left in me. I also realized I wasn't going to pick up too many other places, but there we go. Super happy with that. And just on a chart, you can see 4 watts per kg for 20 minutes. On the chart, we're not too far off some of the PBs. Guys, I feel like we are back to where we want to be. I will see you guys in a race again soon.